Okay, we are in part 4 of The Knight's Tale. This is our final session. So open up to page 161. Remember when we left part 3, we had the 3 wishes, the prayers, and then the results. We also had the intervening of Venus's father, Saturn, who assures Venus cryptically that despite kind of Mars and Mars's aid to Arcite, he will help them and he will come to a resolution so that all get their wishes, all are pleased. So let's start with part 4. There was a great festival in Athens that day, and besides, the joyful season of May made all of them so happy that they jousted and danced all of Monday and spent it in the noble service of Venus. But because they were to get up early the next day to see the great battle, they went to bed at nightfall. At daybreak the next day, there was noise and rattling of horse and battle gear in inns on all sides. Many a train of lords on chargers and palfreys rode to the palace. Thereabouts you might see contrivances of battle gear that were very strange, rich, and well made, in goldsmith's work, embroidery, and steel. You might see glittering shields, head armor, and horse armor, gold-hued helmets, coats of mail, coats of arms, lords in clothes of state upon their coursers, knights in service, and squires too, fastening points on spear shafts and buckles on helmets, putting straps on shields, inserting thongs in the rings. Where need was, they were by no means idle. The foam-flecked horses gnawing on their golden bridles, and the armorers also continually riding hard to and fro with file and hammer. Yeomen on foot and many commoners with short staves, as crowded together as they could be, and still walk. Pipes, trumpets, kettle drums, clarions, that blow the bloody sounds of battle. The palace full of people up and down, here 3, there 10, discussing and conjecturing about these 2 thieving knights. Some said it would be thus and such, others said that the way it would be. Some chose the one with the black beard, others the one that was bald, still others the one with thick hair. Others said that one looked grim. He could fight. He has a battle axe that weighs 20 pounds. Thus the hall was full of guesses long after the sun had come up. The point of the knight's whole digression here in the rambling is that, remember, he's a knight, so that part where people are preparing for the battle is very interesting to him, and he's conveying that. He also talks about people kind of surmising what's going to happen or making conjectures about who's going to win. Okay? What's interesting is that when he's giving this description, it's chaotic. Okay, so we're going to start with our notes for part 4 with number 27, which is bad fortune, which is the preparation for battle and the fact that there is chaos in the kingdom. Okay, to make sure you have that on your good versus bad fortune notes. Great Theseus, who woke from his sleep because of the music and noise that was being made, still stayed in the bedchamber of his rich palace until the Theban knights, both alike honored, were brought into the palace. Duke Theseus then sat at a window, situated and adorned as if he were a god upon his throne. The people crowded that way very quickly to see him and to show him high respect, and also to listen to his bidding and announce intention. A herald on scaffold cried out, "Hear ye," until the noise of the crowd was done. And when he saw that the people were completely quiet, he thus disclosed the mighty Duke's will. So, he's going to give a speech to everyone who is around, but he waits until everyone's quiet and all the full attention is on him. And now he's going to give kind of rules for the battle, and he's going to change a couple of things as well. Our Lord in his noble discretion has considered that it would be destruction of gentle blood to fight in the manner of mortal combat in this present enterprise. Wherefore, to arrange things so that the contestants shall not die, it is his will to modify his first plan. Therefore, no man, on pain of losing his life, shall send into the lists or bring there any kind of missile or battle axe or dagger. No man shall draw or bear at his side any short sword with a piercing point to thrust with. No man shall ride more than one course against his fellow with a spear ground to sharpness. He may parry with it if he wishes on foot to defend himself. And anyone who is in trouble shall be taken prisoner, not killed, and be brought to the stake, which shall be placed on each side. There he shall be conveyed by force, and there he shall stay. And if it happens that the chieftain is captured on either side, or else if he kills his opposite, then the tourney shall last no longer. Godspeed you. Go out and hit hard. Fight your fill with the long sword and the maces. Now go on your way. This is our Lord's will. So, moving on to good fortune, Theseus decides, you know, I don't really want a bloodbath. I don't really want everyone else to be killing each other, so I'm limiting the weapons. This way, the other 100 knights on each side, so the other 200 knights, aren't going to be killed. Because he realizes that it's a little extreme for 200 other knights to lose their life over a woman that they don't have any chance of getting. So he limits the weapons. He says no one, on pain of death, which is a little ironic, is allowed to kill another person. But Palamon and Arcite, they are able to kill each other. Okay? But only Palamon and Arcite. That's it. So Palamon and Arcite can win by either killing the other person or by pulling them out to the stake. Remember, it's like a giant game which you capture the flag. Okay? And the same thing with the other knights that are with them. If one of Arcite's knights pulls one of Palamon's knights out to the stake, then they become a prisoner and they're kind of out of the game. Okay? So the good fortune here is that there will be not a lot of bloodshed or not a lot of death. Okay? So make sure you have that down for your notes. In very lordly fashion, this noble duke rode, one of these two Thebans on either side. Next rode the queen and Emily, and after them another company of various people according to their rank. In this way they passed through the city, and arrived in good time at the lists. It was not yet quite 9 o'clock. When Theseus was seated in a noble and lofty position, Queen Hippolyta, Emily, and other ladies being in tears about him, all the crowd pressed to the seats. On the west, through the gates under Mars, Arcite, and also the 100 on his side, were entered immediately with their red banner. And in the same moment Palamon entered under Venus, on the east of the field, with his white banner and with a bold bearing. Nowhere, no matter where you searched, were there two such companies so evenly matched, without differentiation. There was none so wise as to be able to say that any of them had an advantage over another in respect to valor, nobility, or age. So evenly were they chosen, as far as one could guess. They drew themselves up fairly into two ranks. So, what the knight is trying to convey is that this is a completely even match, which is part of the knight's code of chivalry. Okay? No one has any kind of advantage over the other, and it is clearly seen that these two teams are evenly matched. When each of their names had been read, so that there would be no deception in the total on each side, then the gates were shut, and the cry was loudly given, "Do what you ought, proud young knights." The heralds left off their spurring up and down. Now the loud trumpets and clarions ring out. There is no more to say, but east and west the spears go firmly into the spear rests. The sharp spurs go into the horses' sides. There they see who can joust and ride. There spear shafts shatter on thick shields. One feels the thrust through the breastbone. Up spring the spears 20 feet in the air. Out come the swords glittering like silver. They hew and cut to pieces the helmets. Out burst the blood in violent red streams. The knights break bones with strong maces. That one thrusts through the thickets of the press. There strong steeds stumble, and down go horse and man. This one rolls underfoot like a ball. That one on foot parries with the shaft of his spear. Another crashes down with his horse. Another is wounded through the body and then captured. In spite of all he can do, and brought to the stake. As the rule said, he must stay right there. Another is led to the stake on the other side. So, we go back and forth. The knight describes the battle, and it's kind of like the bird's eye view of what's going on. Remember, although that Theseus limited the weapons, it's not that they're like, it's not like they're playing with like big foam pieces of weapons. They're still doing damage. It's just they're not mortally wounding anyone. At times, Theseus had them rest, to refresh themselves, and to drink if they wished. So there's moments when Theseus kind of calls time out, says, everyone go back to your temple, get rest, get some water, get some food, refresh yourself, heal, tend to your wounds. because he wants this to be evenly matched. Okay, and it's also really good entertainment. Okay, so picking up on 1765 on the bottom of 167. The two Thebans have very often met together, and each has caused the other pain. Each has unhorsed the other twice. In the Vale of Garphia, no tiger whose whelp had been stolen when it was young is as cruel to the hunter as Arcite is for the jealousy of his heart against Palamon. And in Ben Marin there is no lion hunted or maddened with hunger, which is so cruel or so desires the blood of his prey as Palamon desires to kill his foe Arcite. The jealous strokes bite into their helmets. The blood runs red down the sides of both. So during this battle, Palamon and Arcite have run into each other. They have both hit each other or struck each other with their weapons, and they're compared to these savage animals as they fight, and their one intention is to kill the other. There is an end sometime for every action. Before the sun went down, strong King Emetrius caught Palamon as he fought with Arcite. The king's sword bit deeply into Palamon's flesh, and by the strength of 20 men he was captured, without having surrendered, and was pulled to the stake. In the attempt to rescue him, strong King Lycurgus was borne down, and King Emetrius, in spite of all his strength, was carried a sword's length out of his saddle. Palamon hit him so hard before being captured, but all this was for nothing. He was brought to the stake. His brave heart could not help him. He had to stay there when he was captured by force and also by the rules. Okay, so bad fortune. We have the Battle of the Knights, Arcite versus Palamon, and then what I just read is Palamon is brought to the stake and then is declared the loser. So Palamon has been captured by Arcite as well as by the King Emetrius, and he is brought to the stake, which means he is now a prisoner, which by the rules means that he has lost. Okay? Palamon will now be declared the loser. Arcite will be declared the winner. Okay? So let's pick up. Who sorrows now more than woeful Palamon? Who may no longer resume the fight? And when Theseus had seen this sight, he cried out to the people still fighting, "Stop no more! It's finished. I will be an impartial judge, not a friend of one party. Arcite of Thebes shall have Emily. By his good fortune, he has won her fairly." Then such a clamor arose for joy at this, so loud and high, that it would seem the walls of the arena would collapse. So, good fortune that comes out of this. Number 30, write this down. Arcite wins the battle. Theseus declares Arcite the winner of the battle, and therefore the winner of Emily. We're going to end video 1 on this. Make sure you have the notes from number 27 through 30 in your good versus bad fortune.